Let's talk Fender vintage that doesn't break the bank. Today, we're going to be showing you a late 70s Musicmaster and tell you why it's both affordable and at the same time, a very cool vintage guitar. Stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name's Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button. If you'd like to support the channel, visit our spring store link below for our custom design t-shirts like the new design I'm wearing today. Isn't it nice?
It's looking good.
Thank you. So today we're going to be talking about some affordable vintage stuff. Now this is a guitar that recently came into our possession. We're going to be talking about this and kind of put in perspective what's available on the vintage market. And if you get in early, well, you could be the cool guy in the room. So tell us what it is.
So this is a Musicmaster from 1978. Now, if you saw a while back, we did a video on the Musicmaster Shawn Mendes signature, which surprisingly was like one of the most popular signature models last year. They just disappeared, and then I saw them on Reverb, like go crazy. Musicmaster was originally like the student model electric guitar.
Initially in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like it came out way back when.
Very old school and a cool offset body, very simple interface.
Do you know originally it wasn't offset?
Really?
Yeah. So back in the 50s, the original Musicmasters were basically duosonics.
Yeah.
And here's a little tip for you. If you ever find an older 50s, and it might be the case here, but I don't know what it is for sure, those original Musicmasters were basically duosonic bodies.
Yeah.
And the difference was one pickup or two. So they were routed for two. So you can actually buy a Musicmaster and it's already routed for the second pickup.
That's cool. I did not know that.
That's free.
That's really
That's
cool.
free for you. There you go.
And so it's being like that simple kind of interface, like you said, it's one pickup. And I think it's interesting because you think about one pickup guitars maybe from Gibson or, you know, like an Esquire or something. It's typically going to be at the bridge.
Right. But
and
here,
this is like a neck pickup.
Warm position. Right.
So you get one position and it's very warm. And I think it sounds really good. It's an interesting era in Fender's history. I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit. Yeah.
I do. Before we do, let's talk a bit about that offset body though. So I mentioned it originally wasn't offset. The Musicmaster and the Duosonic are student guitars introduced in the 60s or 50s. Like I said, same body, different pick guard. You know, one pickup versus two, you can always drop the second one in and basically make your Musicmaster a duosonic. In the 60s, though, they streamlined some of the lineup and they give the duosonic and the Musicmaster the same body that it now shares with the Mustang. And that's what we see today, right? So this is basically a Mustang body. And so what you're getting with a mid-60s and on duosonic Musicmaster, either one is effectively a Mustang with a different setup, which is pretty cool when you consider like Kurt Cobain and some others who discovered the gems that were Mustangs with the shorter scale length and all of that stuff. And that's what I think, you know, one of the things I want to talk about with this guitar is there are hidden gems out there. Now, like you said, this is a late 70s model. Serial number puts it at 77, 78. We understand this is a 78, right?
Yeah.
So serial number is on the front on this one because it's a student model, and it's S 809923. So the dating of it puts it right there. It seems to be all original. It's got some patina
it's
and
really
staining
cool,
on the
actually.
lacquer finish.
Kind of see down here and everything.
What do you how do you think it plays?
I'm really surprised at how well it plays. There's some fret wear on there, which is to be expected. It's an old instrument, you know, but it's not.
Not saying people born in 78 are old necessarily.
Whatever. And I think it's noted as a medium C neck.
Yeah.
It's a thick neck.
Yeah.
I think that the definition of medium has changed. It's interesting. That's a
They're
side
thinner.
note. Yeah,
like a current C is a lot thinner.
That's interesting because a cool customer came in the other day with the custom shop book, let me take some copies of neck profiles and fret sizes and like just cool diagram stuff to look at. Yeah, from the past. And medium jumbo is thrown around a lot, and it's always different in different eras. It's really interesting.
I'm going to tell you, I hate that term. It's like jumbo shrimp. It's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Medium jumbo.
Medium, come on, guy.
Just call it jumbo or call it medium.
So this is a big, thick, medium C neck, for sure. But it feels really comfortable, and it's glossy, you know, but it's aged in. It's not that sticky. I don't know. It's just a nice feel. I'm assuming that it's slightly heavier strings because it's, you know, shorter scale.
Yep.
So it feels nice and slinky and loose, but they still, I mean, just playing on it through that's a different amp, but it's like a thick tone, and it's complemented well by the neck pickup and everything. It's just, I mean, I think for the age, the patina and the little tiny dings kind of make it between a closet classic
for that
and
on Custom Shop.
It's like a closet classic journeyman hybrid, you know. So it's a Custom Shop craziness, but it's a real deal. So
yeah. So here's what's cool about this era. I mean, the 60s and 70s, though the mid 60s on, basically the CBS era of Fender is typically looked down upon. Okay, we've talked about that on this channel before. So basically from mid 60s, you got the big headstock Fenders coming out, and you've got the change to the bullet truss rod, you've got the change from the 4-plate to the 3-plate, all of this stuff happens. And most of the community views those guitars that came out in the late 60s through the 70s as lesser quality. And that's probably true. They are probably lesser quality than what was happening when Leo Fender was there in the 50s and the early 60s before he sold the company. That being said, that doesn't mean that they're all bad. That means that they're maybe lesser quality. And we should keep in mind, in this context, some of the people that were playing those guitars were people like, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, we sometimes forget as we talk about vintage stuff that he was playing brand new stuff when he's at Woodstock. You know, that Strat with the big old headstock was a brand new guitar that he was playing. So you don't necessarily need to have something old, and the things from that era were not necessarily bad instruments. But because of the perception of them, their value's been diminished. And we're seeing those values start to come up now. And I think what we're seeing is people beginning to appreciate some of the models that came out in the 70s, like the Telecaster Deluxe. A lot of people love the Deluxe and the thin lines and stuff. And those started in the 70s. And what we've seen Fender do is they're starting to do reissues or series that echo the previously disliked 70s models. This really didn't have a whole lot of variation in what was going on with it in the 70s, and this is late 70s, getting into the 80s when and this is made in the US, which is interesting. Because like Strats really in that era were not, particularly in the 80s. They were coming in from Japan before Fender set up their facility in Corona, which was in the mid 80s after the company was bought back from CBS. All that being said, it's a cool guitar, and it's a vintage guitar. It's got that vintage aesthetic, that wear to it, and it's not that expensive. And that's the thing about this era.
It's interesting. It's like we see on a lot of different guitars. They're introduced in a certain era, and then like you said with Kurt Cobain and stuff, Mustang, it's unappreciated, and then it becomes like an icon of a different era, a different genre. And so it's cool thinking about like maybe grunge or punk music, using something like this. It fits the aesthetic of something super basic, but with like one great tone. It takes overdrive really well. Like just pushing this, that sounds really, really nice. So I've definitely had fun playing it. I think it's a great value for a vintage instrument, you know.
And I like the way they did the neck pickup on this. Could be too muddy, you know, but it's actually not where a Strat neck pickup is. It's actually pulled back a little bit. So it gives you a really nice tone, and it's good on its own. You really don't need another one, but you could always modify this. One of the things about these too is like you could buy an older vintage Fender for not very much money, and you could mod it, and nobody's going to like pull their hair out. I can't do that, but you know, nobody's gonna scream, you know, oh no, you routed a Les Paul like Gary did to his to put humbuckers in it. So anyways, but you know, I think they're made to be played. I think they're very cool guitars. You know, 4 plates, you know, on the neck plate, 4 screws. It's a very solidly built guitar. It's really, you know, survived all these years in impeccable condition. And there's a lot of guitars of this era that are like this, that are very, very cool, and I think underappreciated. I'm starting to see values of like 70s era Strats start to go up. 70s era Telecasters start to go up. Mustangs start to go up. And I just don't think a lot of people realize that this is basically a one pickup Mustang.
Yeah, it's really cool. Playing it through the Hot Rod Deluxe, super clean tone, a little bit of reverb, and then kicking on the amp overdrive. So you can hear, I mean, it's like, think late 70s and then think mid 90s. I mean, it'll capture any of those tones and be something that looks really cool. And that's a nice piece that you don't have to go crazy. I mean, if you're starting up a cool punk band or a grunge group, it's not a crazy investment for getting some true vintage.
Cool. Well, let's check it out here for ourselves. So there you have it, affordable, vintage, Fender. Those three words just are music to my ears. It's not something that you hear very often. But the Music Man is a very cool guitar.
Yeah, it's really fun to play. I mean, if you're a collector and you want something that's kind of unique, it's not a rare guitar, but I think a lot of times people have great collections of vintage Strats or Tellys or Les Pauls or whatever. This is a nice extra flavor that you can add on, and it's the kind of wear that you want. I think
Yeah.
it's
not all beat to heck.
There's no
one drug
overt-
behind their truck.
Yeah, the ding wise, I mean, there's no buckle rash on this guitar, which is crazy. There are little kind of scratches and discolorations here and there, but it kind of makes it look real,
Yeah.
you know, because it's really nice look.
I think this joins a long line of student-oriented electric guitars that really found a home with like punk and rock and kind of alternative music.
Yeah.
You know, I think about like the Les Paul Juniors and the Specials and things very much like that. The Mustangs right there with the Duosonic and these. I love the Jag Stang that's, you know, going to be that's been done in the past. So very cool stuff that's been available, and I just think this joins that great pantheon. So if it has been on your radar, if you've been looking for a retro-oriented or just a vintage guitar, make sure that you check these out. We've got this one available. There's others that come up from time to time. Don't be afraid of stuff from the 70s because you can get it for, you know, less money and enjoy a fantastic guitar.
Totally.
You liked it?
I do like it, yeah. It's really, really cool. And it's the right color, too.
It's the right color.
I think it's Olympic white. It's
Yeah,
just been
originally.
super age.
Olympic
yellow
white
now.
meets nicotine meets case storage. Or something.
That's the right formula, let me tell you, for some
For
rock and
classic
roll.
guitars.
All right.
So if you want more information about this guitar while we have it, it's on our website, it's alamomusic.com. We've got a whole selection of used instruments on there. You can chat with someone live, ask them any questions you have about it. We take photos, we can answer questions you have about condition, and help you find the right one to suit your needs. At the end of the day, the very best guitar in the world is the one that's, you know, in its 40s, at least, working on 50s and 60s stuff. So, right?
Yep.
All right,
Sounds good to
cool.
me.
If you want to follow this channel, make sure that you subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button. If you want to have more fun off YouTube, join us on Patreon, become an Alamo Music Insider. There's a link in the description to tell you all about that. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.